Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many familiar faces right here in our hometown, and it's a great honor to be with you. As Andrew did, I also want to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin and the Anishinaabe peoples. I want to thank the Pearson Center for Progressive Policy for asking me to speak here today, and I'm speaking also in Toronto. Don't tell them, Andrew, I'll probably use the same speech. Those who plan to come to Toronto maybe might want to think twice about that. And for making me part of the Pursuing Justice series, I was in Toronto when we launched it along with Irvin Kotler, and it was an incredible honor to be there, and even bigger honor to speak to you today. I want to thank my good friends Andrew Cardozo and Isabel Matka for their friendship and support over the years, and we have knocked on doors and many doors together, and we've talked about things that are important to our community and to, of course, our province and our country. I want to acknowledge my very good friend and colleague, John Fraser. I've known for many years, the MPP for Ottawa South. It's always a great pleasure to work with you, John, and thank you for your hard work and tenacity on behalf of our city. I also want to recognize a former Member of Parliament, David Dobney, who is with us today. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. And my special thank you is to our former Premier, Dalton McGuinty, for that very kind introduction. Now, I've introduced Dalton many times in my life. I had no choice. I was told I had to do it. I don't know why he chose to introduce me, and I never thought I would see a day that he would give me an introduction. I ran for the office for the very first time under his leadership in 2007. What he accomplished as the Premier of Ontario is truly remarkable. Under the leadership of Dalton McGuinty, Ontario eliminated coal-fired electricity plants. We introduced full-day kindergarten for 4- and 5-year-olds across the province. We increased high school graduation rates, and we protected nearly 2 million acres of Ontario's green belt, bigger than Prince Edward Island. Dalton was, and still is, an incredible leader. He taught me my real lesson about leadership, and that is to give hope and to chart a path for the future. It's easy, as he always told me, to sow fear and divide people. A leader unites people and gives them hope. So, Dalton, thank you very much for building Ontario up. Really appreciate it. So, as you know, Ottawa is my hometown. I came here for law school in 1996. I've shared that with Dean Devosier. Some 20 years ago exactly this month. And I fell in love with the city, that is. That was supposed to be a joke. I told my wife. Told her to laugh. And I'm absolutely convinced, without any reservation, that Ottawa is one of the best cities to live. Today, Christine and I, as Dalton mentioned, are raising our 2 beautiful children, Rafi and Eliana. Rafi is 4 years old, have started full-day kindergarten, and in a French program, and he's thriving. Eliana is only 7 months old, and she has not yet figured out how to grab Rafi's toys, so the relationship is good between the two. But it's incredible to raise these 2 beautiful kids while Christine is doing the work. I get to sleep well in Toronto at Queen's Park when I'm there. So it's amazing to be part of the city and part of this community in that regard. And now I find myself always trying to convince people, young people in particular, to make Ottawa their home for its vibrancy, diversity, and opportunities. I received an excellent legal education at the University of Ottawa. It is also where I started my legal career, where I had the opportunity to teach at both University of Ottawa and Halton University. I can tell you that I love the subject of law. But my journey to understand the power of the law and its impact on people and on society started at a much earlier age. I had a very happy childhood, but a different one. In my case, my experiences were quite different than a typical 10-year-old. Many of you may have heard the story, and the Premier mentioned a bit of it in his introduction. My parents, who were both lawyers, were involved in pro-democracy movement in Pakistan, where we lived before immigrating to Canada. Pakistan in the late 70s and the 80s was governed by a military regime. There was no democracy, no democratic institutions, and the rule of law, well, there was none. This was a country where democratic institutions and traditions were systematically and deliberately weakened. In the early 80s, my father voluntarily participated in a movement that had the sole purpose of restoring democracy. My dad decided to lead a pro-democracy march, even though it was against the military law of the day. He was jailed as a political prisoner for 9 months. His original punishment was 10 months and 40 lashes. They let go of the 40 lashes part because he was 40 years old at that time. They had some element of clemency in them. But he did spend 9 months as a political prisoner. But of course, that part of my life made me a witness and participant to events that had a profound impact on me. My father's arrest and his unlawful trial in a military court. My mother's struggle to secure his basic rights while he was in detention. And our family's quest to visit my dad every weekend in a notorious jail almost 200 kilometers away from where we lived. And that was intentional. My father was not the only one. Thousands others were arrested and detained during that period simply because they demanded free, open, and multi-party democratic elections. Fortunate for us and my family, my parents made a bold decision. They would move our family to Canada. In my father's case, he wanted to come to Canada because he wanted his children to be the citizens of the world. He always said how he wanted us to be cosmopolitan. He wanted us to live in a society where we could do whatever we wanted to do. My mother had a much simpler reason, a basic one. She wanted her daughter, my sister, to be equal to her 2 sons. She wanted her to live and thrive in a society where she can do whatever she wants to do, even though she's a girl. So I hope this gives you a bit of an insight into my DNA. The experiences I had in my childhood shaped me and my belief system. It is the reason I believe in the supremacy of law, rule of law, the guarantee of individual rights, and that a justice system should treat everyone equally. It is the reason that I did not get into politics to simply defend the status quo. And it is the reason why I'm incredibly honored to serve as the Ontario's Attorney General, to be the Chief Law Officer of the Crown of a very strong democracy. To my mind, Ontario is the best province and the best country in the world. This is a place where human rights are paramount, where everybody can access public education and universal health care, where billions of dollars are invested every year by governments at every level to ensure that our streets are safe, and that every person has access to an independent and impartial system of justice. The statistics speak for themselves. Every year, Canada ranks among the best countries in the world in terms of human development, prosperity, human rights, diversity, and peace. According to the World Justice Project, we rank among the top 20 nations under every indicator in its annual Rule of Law Index, including in the areas of civil justice, criminal justice, and the protection of fundamental rights. And we are one of the safest jurisdictions in the world. Since 2003, Ontario's crime rate has dropped by close to 37%. In fact, Ontario has had the lowest crime rate of any province and territory every year since 2005. And here in Ottawa and across Ontario, we continue to enjoy relative levels of prosperity, safety, equality, and justice that are the envy of the world. Talk to anybody outside Canada, even America style, they want to be Canadians. But does that mean we shouldn't ask if things could be better? Absolutely not. There are peoples across the province that need our help. There continues to be unfairness and inequality among us. And there's still a pressing need for us to work together to pursue an even better system of justice for everyone in Ontario. As Attorney General, part of my job is to ensure Ontario's justice system is not only working as it should to uphold the laws, but also making sure that the laws we are upholding are the best they can be. Today, Premier Wynne gave me and the rest of our cabinet our mandate letters. I would encourage you to read it if you have an opportunity. It's available on the Ministry of the Attorney General's website. Premier McGuinty will know well, better than I would, that mandate letters are given by a Premier or Prime Minister to their cabinet. They outline a government's priorities, values, and vision for the future. In case of my mandate letter, it is our plan to strengthen the rule of law, the guarantee of individual rights, and the equality among our justice system. It is our vision of how we will create a better justice system for everyone in Ontario. Now, there is a lot in my mandate letter. For those of you who would have read it, you will have seen that the Premier has tasked me with leading Ontario's approach to the legalization of recreational marijuana. I'm not sure that makes me a popular guy or not so popular guy. I'm still trying to figure that out. But given that I can really only stay at high level, and there's still a lot of smoke in the room now. I walked into my first briefing on the topic, and there was a room full of bureaucrats, very serious people from all kinds of ministries. And I just walked in and said, guys, I have about 3 or 4 really good lines. I need to get it out of my system. And then you can, and you know what? Bureaucrats are good people. They let you ministers do whatever, and they laugh at your jokes. And you could tell they've heard it all, they've said it all. I'm trying to go down in the business. So it's a big file, and as you all know, it is the federal government who is holding the pen on the legislation. So I won't speak to it much today because we'll have a lot more to say once we know what the federal government's plans are going to be. They have a task force, as you know, that's working under Anne McLennan, who's the former Minister of Justice, and they intend to table their legislation spring next year. But we as provinces, of course, will learn more once we know the policy direction they will be taking and the manner in which they will legalize the use of marijuana. Until that time, of course, we're doing our technical work. Our big focus, of course, from Ontario's perspective, is to protect our youth, is to ensure that we keep our roads safe from impaired drivers who may use the product, and to focus on harm reduction as well, because it is a product that is addictive in nature and could have harmful effects. So what I want to do today is to focus on 4 other areas that are outlined in my mandate letter, which I think are important to discuss. Reforming our bail and remand system, transparent and accountable police oversight, equality of all parents and kids, and modernizing our justice system. And please indulge me briefly to talk about all these 4 topics. Speaking of reforming the bail and remand system, I think many of you may know that in recent years, despite Ontario's declining crime rate, our province's correctional facilities have experienced a troubling increase in the number of inmates who are awaiting trial. Too many of these people are people suffering from serious mental health and addiction issues. A disproportionate number of these people come from Indigenous or other racialized communities. Last year, 63%, that is nearly 2/3, of the number of people in Ontario's correctional institutions were on remand on any given day. In 1985, it was just 26%. These are people who have yet to be sentenced. Most have yet to start their trial. Over the past decade, there have been countless studies, reports, and working groups focused on fixing Ontario's bail system. The most recent of which was prepared on my direction right here in Ottawa by the Ottawa Carleton Detention Center Task Force. In my view, the time for study is over. Things need to change, and it's time that we take some concrete action. And our government is very much determined to improve our bail system. We need to make sure that only those people who should be held in custody are in custody. And we need to ensure that we are not wasting precious public resources on inefficient and unproductive processes, particularly when it comes to low-risk individuals who have been accused of non-violent crimes. Right now, my ministry is working on a plan that will balance the need for timely and appropriate bail decisions while also protecting public safety. Our plan will also incorporate initiatives for Indigenous people and people dealing with mental health and addiction issues. It will require the support of all our justice partners to get the job done. I'm grateful that I have the support of the Chief Justices, the Bar, the federal government, and our partners in the enforcement community and social service organizations. The second important issue that we will be dealing with is creating transparent and accountable police oversight. As Attorney General, I will also be focused on making our Ontario's police oversight system more open and more transparent. We must do better if we want people to have confidence in the police oversight system, because they are very real and I would argue valid concerns. The Special Investigations Unit, for instance, was established in 1990. Ontario was the first jurisdiction in Canada to require every serious death or injury stemming from police work to be investigated by an independent civilian organization. Back then, it made Ontario a leader in police oversight. Others copied our approach while they developed their systems. But it is 2016. The tragedies in the United States cast a long shadow. The incidents in Toronto and most recently in Ottawa have only made it clear and more urgent that things have to change in order to maintain confidence in our policing. Here is what I know, and what I think we all know. We know that our police officers go to work every day in difficult and dangerous circumstances. They put themselves in harm's way for one reason and one reason alone, and that is to keep us safe every day. For that, they should be recognized, respected, and thanked. At the same time, we know the status quo is not good enough. Ontario's police oversight system could be more open, it could be more transparent to the public, and to the communities who have legitimate questions. That is why we have asked Justice Michael Tulloch of the Ontario Court of Appeal to give us advice on how to enhance the transparency and accountability of Ontario's police oversight bodies, and there are 3 different bodies that are involved in that work. As a priority, Justice Tulloch is also looking into how information in SIU reports could be made public in the future while upholding legal privacy and safety considerations. It is absolutely my expectation that these reports will be made public. I'm pleased that Justice Tulloch has begun his extensive public consultations, which will take him throughout the GTA, Ottawa, Thunder Bay, Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Kingston, Hamilton, London, and Windsor. And I'm confident that Justice Tulloch's recommendations will create a renewed approach to police oversight that has the confidence of both the police and the public they serve. The third issue I wanted to touch upon is equality for all parents and kids. I'm very much looking forward to updating Ontario's parentage laws so that all families in our province are treated equally. It may come as a surprise to some of you that currently the legal status of all parents in Ontario is not recognized equally. Under current laws, Parents who are not biologically related to their kids often need to go to the court to be recognized as their child's parent. That does not make sense. Our laws must reflect the reality of all families. That is the only fair thing to do. Once updated, the law will ensure that parents of modern families are automatically, legally recognized as their child's parent, whether they are LGBT or straight, and whether their kids are conceived with or without assistance. By the new year, it is our hope that all children will be treated equally regardless of how they are conceived, and that the birth of a child can be celebrated joyfully without any worry brought on by legal uncertainty. The last point I wanted to highlight to you is how do we modernize our justice system. It's probably one of the most important issues that I will get to work on, and something that is exciting and contains immense opportunity, and that is to modernize a system of justice through digital innovation. Used in the right way, technology and digital innovation can make information and ideas more accessible. It can open doors that are usually closed or only open to an elite few. I believe that we have an opportunity to use technology to make the justice process and the law more accessible and open. As many of you will know, many of our court processes and procedures are pretty old school, still largely paper-based and requiring a lot of in-person interactions. They're not the modern and efficient public services that people have come to expect and the technology allows us to do. We have to ask ourselves, in an era when you can just do just about anything over the internet from home, does it still make sense that you have to line up for an hour at the courthouse to settle your $60 parking ticket? I want to help change that, not simply because it will save money, but to ensure that wherever possible, justice services are accessible and user-friendly. And I very much look forward to having more to say on this topic. There are already some great examples in our province of how simple technologies are improving access to justice and making our institutions more customer-friendly. For example, the Social Benefits Tribunal has introduced a successful video hearing model. Under this program, low-income and often vulnerable people can have their case heard by simply attending at their local community legal clinic and connecting to the respondent and the adjudicator by a video feed. This simple change reduces the time, stress, and cost to travel to an in-person hearing in downtown Toronto. It also allows the tribunal to use adjudicators from every corner of the province on a moment's notice, which eliminates travel time and expense without compromising the quality of justice services. At the Ministry of the Attorney General, we have already taken some important first steps to introduce digital innovation in the court system. We've introduced online filing for small claims court, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have created an online tool that allows parents to set up straightforward electronic child support payments. And we have increased remote video capacity in our bail courts and correctional institutions. Now, I'll be the first one to say that these are gradual steps. It is just the beginning. And I very much look forward to talking with you more about how we intend to expand the use of digital technology in our justice system soon. One of the great things is that while talking to the bench and the bar, there is great alignment within the profession, from our judiciary and from our lawyers, that we have to do more in terms of bringing technology within the manner in which we operate within our courtrooms and how we practice law. And when you talk to the public who uses the system, there is also a great desire to do the same. Now, we always have to bring balance in the two. One cannot come at the expense of using the paper-based system, because not everybody have access to technology or internet. Not everybody is comfortable using the technology. So the task for us is what those technological solutions look like. How can we enroll them in a manner that it will enhance access to justice, but also ensuring that a judiciary and a justice system can operate in a way that upholds the rule of law. So I want to thank you for being here, and in closing, I want to thank the Pearson Center for Progressive Policy for giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts about how we can bring more access and equality within the justice system, how the law has shaped my life, who I am as a person, and how it is connected to our vision and our plan to pursue an even better system of justice. We should be under no illusion that the solutions are simple and straightforward. I wish they were. Somebody would have done it by now if they were. Words are easy, and we will be